and welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. Today is technically Vlogmas day 2, but I am going to be taking you through a video that I do post or try to post every month. I'm getting better, guys, as you can see. Today I'm going to be wrapping up all of the books I read in November. I got up to 8 books in November, which is better than I've been doing recently. It's more than I've been reading in a month recently, so I'm happy about that, and I am hoping that I can continue the momentum into December. I do have a couple of kind of challenge videos that I'm hoping to post and work through this month, so I'm really hoping that that helps boost my reading as well. I've also been listening to more audiobooks throughout November, and I'm hoping to continue on with that. Maybe get some cozy projects like another jigsaw on the go. That really helped build my audiobook listening up, because I loved doing a jigsaw and just like switching off and listening to an audiobook, and I do also have some more Lego to do, so I'm thinking maybe I will do the same for that. And definitely just over Christmas I think is such a good time to do cozy things like that, to do a jigsaw, Lego and things. So I'm hoping I can continue with listening to audiobooks and just reading a bit more, motivating myself a little bit more as well. I often find like it just seems to take me a week to get through a physical book sometimes, because I just don't have the motivation to actually pick it up around work and socialising and everything else. So I'm trying to do a few projects that will help me kind of build that into a habit a bit more, because I want to read more, but I'm just not. And although a week to get through a book is not a lot to most people, like on average I imagine that that's still quite a short amount of time. For me, I'm like, I know if I put my mind to it I definitely could get through maybe 2 books a week. So doing just the one to me personally doesn't feel like a lot, or it feels like I'm taking a long time, if that makes sense. But anyway, enough of me rambling, let's get on to the actual books. So there's 8 books, as I said, to talk about today. The first one being 450 from Paddington by Agatha Christie. I think I started this at the very start of the month, so in my October wrap up you will have heard me talk about other Agatha Christie books, and I did a video where, like a vlog, where I challenged myself to read 4 Agatha Christie books, and that was I made a decision to like keep or unhaul my set of Agatha Christie books based on reading those 4 books, and this was the last book I read for that challenge, and I really enjoyed this one. I actually gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and this is a Miss Marple. It's following a woman who is on a train from London at 4:50 from Paddington station, and as she's on the train she looks to the side out of the train window, and there's another train alongside them, you like taking over them, and she sees a woman being murdered like against the window of this train. She is a friend of Miss Marple, so she tells Miss Marple like what she saw on the train, and there's this involvement, so Miss Marple gets somebody else involved to kind of help her investigate what's happened. And I really liked this story because it's got more of a character focus to it. You follow a family for the most part, and I think that's what I missed a lot in other Agatha Christie books, is the character focus on a group, a small group, where you actually feel like you get to know the different characters. Often they seem to be quite a large like cast of maybe like 20 people, and that's just too many to really get into the nitty-gritty of like what these characters are actually like. So I like that we got time with people in this, and I think that's what made me like it and enjoy it more. I also tend to enjoy the Miss Marple books, I think, more than any other, so I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I would really recommend this as an Agatha Christie read. It's definitely one that I would say is one of my favourites that I've read of hers so far. I then read 16 Souls by Rosie Talbot. I don't actually have my copy anymore because I did gift it to a friend after I read it, who had recently read We Three Witches, which is Rosie Talbot's latest release. And she'd really enjoyed that, so I said, I think you should have these. I did enjoy this one. It is set in York, and I did read it like just before I went to York as well, which was nice. It's a YA book, and it's been kind of compared to Heartstopper. It's like a Heartstopper but spooky with ghosts, because it's a male-male romance kind of like as a subplot, but it's following, I think his main character was called Sam. Let's call him Sam. Pretty sure he was called Sam. but it's following our main character who can see ghosts, and there's kind of things going on in the ghost community and in Sam's world, and they cross over, and he also meets another boy who can also see ghosts. It's YA, and it has those spooky elements in it. It's quite heartwarming as well. It has some like emotional parts. It reminded me of The Other Ones, I think it was called. I cannot remember who that was by. But it kind of reminded me of that, which was also compared to Heartstopper because it was this kind of queer, spooky, also romance YA. And yeah, I enjoyed this one, but I definitely felt like, I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes I love YA. I will read stuff that is intended for any age, and I don't think there should be any age on a book. But sometimes when I read YA, I can't help but feel like I would get more out of it if it was an adult book. I'm definitely feeling more of that as I get older, and I am skewing more towards adult reads rather than YA. And I think it's come up a few times recently. I think I just have to be in a very specific mood to go for something that is intended for like a young adult or middle grade or younger audience, and sometimes I really love that, and sometimes I just feel like it's not for me anymore. That is absolutely no, like, I am not dissing anyone who does enjoy that at any age. That is brilliant, and I definitely will never like discount young adult books or children's books. But yeah, for this one specifically, I just felt like I did still enjoy it, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, whereas maybe when I was younger I would have rated it higher. The next one I read was Transmogrify by loads of different authors. It's edited by Haron Davis, and it's 14 fantastical tales of trans magic. This one was really interesting. I did actually listen to it as an audiobook, and I really enjoyed it. And there's some of like my favourite authors in here, like Mason Deaver and A.R. Capita and Corey McCarthy writing together, which was really nice to read. This is 14 different tales, completely different magical elements. But the idea is that this focuses on trans characters in a fantasy magical setting, and I really liked that as a concept. Obviously, because it's an anthology, all of the stories were very different, and I think anthologies are not something I would really reach for anymore. I've had this on my shelf for a very long time and I still hadn't picked it up. As you can see, it's a proof copy from Harper from when it came out, I think in 2022. It says it was on sale in May 2023, so this is from quite a while ago now, and I've never gotten around to reading it, so I decided to listen to the audiobook, and I'm really glad I did. I really liked the narrator for this, and this is the one I listened to while I was doing my jigsaw, and I really liked that. But yeah, I really liked this as a collection, but obviously some stories I really liked and some stories just weren't for me, and some of those were the more fantastical ones. I liked when the magic was quieter and set in the real world, so I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is back to Mason Deaver. So I had a story from Mason Deaver in Transmogrify, and then I actually read an entire Mason Deaver book, and that was the Build a Boyfriend Project, and I really liked this one. I listened to the audiobook of this one too, and it was so cute and so cozy. It was such a lovely romance. This is from my Afterlight subscription, and this was just so cute. I'm even thinking about this one like now, a few weeks after reading it. It's following Ellie, who is stuck in a position that he doesn't really enjoy. He's working at this like online news company, and Eli's roommates are kind of pushing him to go out on dates, and he's not dated since he had this like bad breakdown of a relationship with his ex, who also works at the same company as him. So he ends up going on a date, but the date goes very, very badly, and he tells his boss about it, and stuff isn't great at work, and his boss basically challenges him to write an article about making this person who he went on a date with a better boyfriend. So he goes along with it because he has his own kind of ulterior motives to use it as an experience for him to get his own work out into this company. But he also ends up kind of, there's a spark between him and Peter, who he goes on this date with. This is so cute. I really liked the concept, and it was a great romance. I really liked these two as characters, and it felt like the character development was really there. I was really feeling for these two and wanting them to get together. So yeah, this one also made a great audiobook and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next books I read are all Holly Black books, and I did do a Holly Black reading vlog, so if you do want to hear me talk about these in more detail, I would go and watch that, because I probably won't cover them too much in this video. But the first one I read was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a young adult fairy romance. It's following Jude and her sisters, who when they're younger they see their parents like murdered in front of them, and then their assassin abducts all 3 girls and brings them into the world of the Fae, the fairy, where Jude is installed into the royal court. It's following Jude but also following her sisters, and there's also, yeah, looming over this world is the infuriating, arrogant and charismatic Prince Carden. And it is a fairy romance that develops between, it's kind of enemies to lovers between Jude and Prince Carden. I don't think that's spoilers. I think it kind of gives that away in the synopsis, to be honest. Yeah, I liked some parts of this, but I also felt like I don't need it in my life. I listened to the audiobook of this too, and I know I've heard some people say that they don't get on with Holly Black's writing, and I wouldn't say that I didn't get on with the writing, but I do feel like Holly Black just throws you straight into a story. You really don't get a lot of character development, especially in her YA writing. You are just literally thrown straight into the thick of it and you have to kind of figure things out for yourself. And that just really didn't get me compelled to read more. And I just feel like I don't really need this in my life. I'm not saying it's a bad book, and I can see why it's obviously had a lot of hype over the years, and obviously this is one of the like OG kind of fairy fantasy YA romantasy books, but I think having read things like Powerless that only came out in the past few years, I actually enjoyed Powerless more than I enjoyed this, and I didn't necessarily feel like I needed this in my life. So I did end up DNFing the series here, but you can listen to me talk about that more in the Holly Black blog if you want to. I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. I then went on to read a completely different Holly Black book. This is Book of Night, which is her adult debut, and I actually really enjoyed this. I found it very, very different. I found the writing style very different. I really liked the idea of this and the theme of this. It's following our main character, who is called Charlie. Yes, Charlie. And in this world there is like a magic that is to do with your shadow, and Charlie kind of got herself involved when she was younger in the world of stealing people's shadows, which is like a whole underground thing that you can do. There's some really dark magic in here, and it's all surrounding people's shadows, and the people who manipulate shadows are called glow mists. She's trying to kind of distance herself from her past mistakes, and she's just working at a bar. She's in a relationship, she lives with her sister, but she finds out that her boyfriend has been like hiding things from her, and things from her past start to return. This is definitely quite slow, and the text in this is really small actually, and it took me longer to read than I probably wanted, but I really liked the idea of this and the, what is the word I'm looking for? Premise. There we go. It's like, I know I've said this in this video, the premise of this book, and I just thought it was really cleverly written, and I will be reading the second one at some point. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend Holly's adult work in comparison to her YA work. And that brings me on to, actually I'm going to talk about these the wrong way around, but as we're on Holly Black I will also mention The Coldest Girl in Coldtown, which I DNF'd at about 40 pages after reading The Cruel Prince and realising that Holly Black's YA writing might not be for me, and also, to be honest, I've owned this for years and completely forgot that I owned it, so I thought I would start this book and just see how I got on, and it didn't matter really if I didn't really mind if I DNF'd quite soon into this. To be honest, I still don't really know a lot about this because there's not a lot on the book itself. This is a fairy loot edition, but it is following our main character, who they have like a party, it's a teen party at this house, and she wakes up and realises that there are vampires, and her boyfriend or someone in the house, like a friend, has been turned into a vampire, and that's kind of where I got to in the book. So I don't really know what happens other than that, and I don't really feel like I need to find out, so there you go. I'm not going to rate that because I DNF'd it. And the last book I need to talk about is The Devil Makes Three by Tori Bovalino. I also listened to this as an audiobook, and this is following Tessa and Elliot. So they are kind of enemies in a way. Tess thinks Elliot is somebody else at the start of this book and does something kind of mean, and they have this kind of awkward relationship, I guess, but they are really like drawn to each other. It's kind of a dark academia. Tess works in the school library. Elliot is studying at this school and is there over the summer and is taking like loads of books out of the library, but they accidentally end up kind of having to work together because they, how does the synopsis word it, accidentally release a devil from a book-bound prison, and the devil will stop at nothing to stay free, and is kind of taking over Tess. So they have to work together. They're like forced to work together to try and re-trap the devil. And yeah, I liked the concept of this. I liked the atmosphere of this. I feel like some of it, I feel like it was quite forgettable, to be honest. I've had this for quite a while, and for some reason I just ended up listening to the audiobook of this as well. And yeah, there were elements that I liked, but overall I found it not that compelling, and yeah, as I said, quite forgettable. It's been a couple of weeks since I finished this, I think, or like a week since I finished this, and I can't say I've really thought that much about it since, and I honestly kind of forgot that I read it. I wouldn't say it's a bad book by any means. Maybe it just wasn't for me. Like, I can't say that there were particular things that I didn't like about it. It just didn't really grab me, and I found it, as I said, like quite forgettable. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars in the end. Okay, so those are all of the books that I read in November. I feel like I've just been kind of mean about all of those. Like, I don't mean to be. This is just my personal opinion, guys. I'm not saying any of these are like bad books. I'm not trying to discourage you to read them. I feel like I'm definitely learning more about what I enjoy and don't enjoy in books. I'm a lot more willing than I used to be to DNF or to be honest about my feelings and not be like dragged in the hype of things. But as I said, yeah, all of this is like my personal opinion, and I did also really enjoy some books, like The Boulder Boyfriend Project was really good. And Transmogrify I enjoyed, and 450 Paddington, and Book of Night was great. So I hope you don't feel like I've been too harsh. I feel like I've been really harsh on those books, but this is just my personal like opinion and taste, so ignore me if you wish. But anyway, I'm gonna go now because I really feel like I'm being rambly. Thank you so much for joining me and for watching this video, and I will see you next time in the next few days for Vlogmas Day 3. Bye!